This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome to the studio. Welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, Grant, which means what?
Hump Day.
Oh, yeah. Hump Day Wednesday. We don't necessarily recommend doing too many wild and crazy things on a Wednesday, but when it comes to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, Wednesdays are a good day to get a little extra crazy.
We're always crazy.
We are, but I
crazy
feel like
every day.
I feel like we pull out all the stops on Wednesday. You know, Grant? It's
Really?
just kind of, I don't know.
Really?
Kind of.
I guess. I mean,
It all depends on how you view it. I mean, it's an exciting time.
It is. Well, I always love Wednesdays, so I mean, it's
Why do
always
you love
crazy
Wednesdays,
for me.
Grant?
Because we're halfway there.
What?
Halfway there.
There we go. Okay, I knew there was a song in there. Or
Oh, there's
something.
always a song.
There is.
You
There's
know
a song.
me.
Is a song in your heart and something I forget. There's a saying that goes along with it. I forget what it is.
I don't know.
I don't know. But
know.
anyway, welcome to the show today. We're excited to have you here. Remember, you can catch us live Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live on Spreaker.com, and also from 11 to 1 p.m. Central on Sports Radio America as well as Live 365 and TuneIn, and then on demand anytime on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and on Spreaker.com as well.
And then you can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You can also find us on Twitter at BG Sports Show, and also on Instagram at BG Sports Show. Also on Twitter, you can find Baxter at Baxter Colburn, and you can find me at Grant's Rant, BGSS.
Absolutely. And if you ever have any comments or thoughts about us, please let us know. We love hearing from you guys. And if you do feel like being a little bit more long-winded with your message to us, please shoot us an email at bgsportshow@gmail.com. We love hearing from you, the listener, and we continue to experience a lot of growth because of all of the excitement that is swirling around with the show. Sports Radio America that recently launched their new website and has such been able to promote the show a little bit more for us. So we've seen some growth in numbers, so thank you to all of you that continue to listen. Now, Grant, we're going to be starting off the show today talking about a sport that's very near and dear to your heart. Am I correct about that?
Yes.
You know that for those of you that don't know, hockey is a huge part of Grant's life. He loves it. He played it for many a year as a young lad.
Love it to death.
Love it to death. He would take a puck to the face for the game. I was going to say a bullet, but there's not too many shootings in hockey. It's not the NFL, so there's not too many shootings. So. Too soon? I'm sorry.
Gosh.
Anyway, but
Okay.
Grant's favorite team is the St. Louis Blues.
Yes, they
and then
are.
occasionally the Minnesota Wild as well, depending
Yes.
on when they're playing each other.
Yes.
Now, there is trade rumors going around. The Blues have already been kind of revamping their team this year.
A little bit.
They've already shipped off T.J. Oshio's to Washington.
Miss him already.
But then they did re-sign Vladimir Tarasenko to an 8-year deal, so that was huge. But now there's rumors that the goalkeeper, David Backes.
The goalkeeper?
I'm sorry, not the goalkeeper. I can't read. That one of their star players, David Backes. I don't know where I got goalkeeper.
Yeah, I
from.
really don't know where you got that from either. I'm like, when you said goalkeeper, I was like, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry. This is what happens.
Wow.
Anyway, there's rumors are that the captain, David Backes, might be getting traded, Grant. Can you shed a little bit more light on what the rumors are exactly?
Well, what it really comes down to is, in my opinion, I think it's just Blues fans. So if you don't know, St. Louis Blues, the last 3 years have done absolutely amazing in the regular season. Normally winning the division, and almost coming close to the conference. Last year they were a point away, I believe, from winning the conference. 2 years ago, they were winning the conference until they had a lot of injuries and dropped the last 6 games of the season. But other than that, they do really, really well. But then they get to the first round of the playoffs, and they don't produce, and they drop out of the first round of the playoffs, and that has happened the last 3 years.
Sounds kind of like the Cowboys, the Lions, or pretty much any normal middle mediocre, like the Bengals.
Well, it's also like if you're following hockey, it's kind of like the Red Wings. I mean, I know Red Wings fans will get on my case for that,
but
time, though. They're kind of still in their time. They've been to, I think, 26 straight playoffs.
Dang.
Yeah, but
that's got to be a record.
The last time they won the Stanley Cup was in 2008, and the last time they made it to the finals was the following year in 2009. So it's not like they've been there in a while. They kind of just show up because, oh, hey, we always make the playoffs and then get beat.
They're a great
kind
organization.
Of thing. Yes, they are. Don't get me wrong, any Red Wings fans out there, I'm not bashing on your organization.
No.
I'm just saying it's been a while, but then you can go ahead and say, well, the Blues haven't won the Stanley Cup. And then I'm like, okay, yes, you're right. Anyway, or the Blues haven't even been to a Stanley Cup final, I don't think. But I'll have to double check on that. But they for sure have not won. And then anyway, moving on with David Backes, what it's really boiling down to is people are just like ready to just burn bridges and just be done with everything. They want to revamp the team. They want Ken Hitchcock out of there. They want everybody out of there. They want the GM out. They
cut everybody.
They just want new players. And I'm
That's
just
not
like,
the way to go about
guys,
it.
just calm down.
Everybody relax.
They gave Hitchcock 1-year deal, and if they don't make it past the first round of the playoffs, he's gone. And I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And they got rid of TJ Oshie. I mean, I think personally he's going to do better in Washington anyway.
He'll be with Alex Ovechkin now.
Yeah,
too.
he'll be with a high-powered offense. I think he'll do well over there. I was really okay with that. But trading David Backes, yes, he's not a huge offensive power. But what the Blues have been doing this past offseason is they've been inviting a lot of players to their training camp, looking for some offensive weapons. That's what they're really focusing on this year. And David Backes, going back to him, he's not going to get you 30, 40 goals a season.
No.
He's not one of those players. He's standard Blues, pardon the pun, blue-collar hockey player.
Oh.
It's so funny because that's what the Blues are. They're a blue-collared hockey team.
They really are.
It's just, you don't want to use the pun, but it's the best phrase to describe them.
Sometimes that's how you need to do it, though. Like, that's just the best way to do it.
It just fits them.
It's not their fault that that's their name.
It fits them so well. I like it, kind of, but then at the same time, I'm really sorry for the bad pun.
Yeah,
but it really worked.
Everyone at home is like, okay,
stop.
it makes sense. Well, there's 3 teams rumored right now to be interested in Backes, and that is the Boston Bruins, the Ottawa Senators, and the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yes.
Out of those 3, I would assume Boston? Maybe?
I would say Boston would probably be, in my opinion, one of the more teams because they kind of have the same bruiser style of a hockey team. The thing with Backes, I have a couple points still. First, with Backes being traded, I at first wouldn't be okay with it because he's your captain. You already traded away
your captain, yeah.
Right, and you already traded away TJ Oshie, and yes, he was younger, but he was still first-line player.
He was the future.
Yeah, he was pretty much he was what the Blues have invested their time into.
Yes.
And so if you trade away David Backes, that's your captain. So I don't know if you would necessarily want to do that right away. This season. But I mean, it wouldn't be awful because what you could get out of him is what they're projecting is get a decent player, a draft pick, and a prospect.
Which is not a bad thing to get.
So you get
a first-round draft choice at that.
Right.
Not just a general draft pick.
You could get 2 players and potentially a third, depending what you do with that draft pick. So for 1 player, and David Backes, like I said, he's not going to go get gaudy goals, but he is a fantastic hockey player with just positionally aggressiveness.
Yes.
There's a lot more to hockey than scoring goals.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
so there's a lot more.
Oh, I didn't know.
But David Backes is not one of those players. He's the only when you see him get goals, he's like right next to the crease. He's just getting dirty. That's what he does. So if there's a team looking for that, like Boston, they missed the playoffs last year. They're kind of in the middle of a rebuilding phase. David Backes would be a good addition to that.
Not some veteran leadership to that team.
Yes, definitely. But right now, for the general interest of the Blues, I would say don't. I'd say don't trade him. I feel like people are saying this, and they say this every once in a while because, yeah, even though he's the captain, he doesn't get all these goals. And I'm just like, you have to realize that that's not the main thing. What you have to look at is just how he performs on the ice. You can't just look at the stat sheet with the goals and whatnot, and he's your captain. You have to realize that is a major point. And just with the last 3 postseasons being, or playoffs being really just horrendous, just below expectations, a lot of people are just in my opinion, jumping the gun, just quick saying, "Oh, let's fire everybody,
Why not?
rebuild the team
Cut
from
everybody.
scratch."
Let's go play, Grant.
I hear the Blues are hiring players, but yeah, so that's why I think people are rumored about David Backes is rumored to being traded. I don't think he actually will. If he does, it'll be interesting to see. If they do, they better get some good worth out of it.
You could say people are a little blue in St. Louis. There's another
You can
pun.
leave now.
Really? You make the blue collar comment?
Because it was about their style of play.
I
You were
was
just
talking
taking
about
in poor
their
taste.
fans. Well, whatever. What else is new, honestly? All right, we're going to go to a
Honestly.
break. When we come back, Grant's got his rant. And then later on, Green Bay Packers continuing to make some cuts on their team. And Grant, maybe we're going to bring back the stick-'em because the NFL is looking to maybe regulate the gloves for wide receivers and other players. So we'll talk about that and so much more. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
All right, Grant, welcome back to the studio. Welcome back to all of you listeners. Remember, you can catch us Monday through Friday now from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live on Spreaker.com and from 11 to 1 Central on Sports Radio America. And if you feel like watching us, you can view us on Periscope as well. Hi, everyone. Hi, Periscopes. Nice to see you. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Grant, before we get to your rant, which will be here in just a moment, I've got a few random numbers to throw at you because
All right,
this is what I
sounds good.
do. I like impromptu throwing numbers at you.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So, look away from my screen so you can't cheat. The first number I have for you, Grant, is the number 2032. Do you know what that number represents in the sport of football?
Which football?
NFL.
What's the number?
2,032 yards.
Well, now rushing yards.
It is rushing yards. That is the complete number of rushing yards that Trent Richardson amounted during his time playing for NFL teams.
Rough.
Only 2,032 yards.
Rough.
Over the course of 3 different teams. Even though he didn't even play an actual down, like a real NFL down for the Raiders.
Right.
So, fun fact about that one. 2 more for you, Grant. How many career touchdown passes do you feel that Phillip Rivers has thrown over his career?
We'll give a solid 300.
Ooh, he is at 252. 252 total.
It's close.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then one other one. You're familiar with what the Premier League is in England, the soccer league?
Yes.
Okay. So how many out of all of the teams, there's always 20 teams that play on during a regular season. How many out of those 20 do you have ever won a Premier League title?
5.
That is correct. Only 5 teams that have ever been a part of the Premier League since the beginning of time have ever won the Premier League title. Only 5. And they have a rotating system as well that skim through on the bottom. Like the bottom 3 teams get relegated, and then 3 new teams get brought up. And only 5 teams have ever won the Premier League title. Because money, lots of money.
That's kind of sad.
It is. It's unfortunate that only 5 teams have won the title. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Well, we could go to your rant. That's what we could do.
There you go.
That's a good way to make everyone make the
worked.
soccer world feel better. We can go to the rant. All right, Grant, your rant today is very exciting. I'm excited to hear what you have to offer. So with a minute on the clock for you, we will get ready to move. Are you ready?
I am ready.
On your mark, get set, go.
The Green Bay Packers have a lot to look at with their wide receivers. They have to pick their starting five soon. They have Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and then it's Ty Montgomery and Jeff Janis are probably the starting four, but who's going to be the number 5? People don't really know. For a while, Baxter's been saying Miles White, but then just recently, my favorite, Jared Abbrederis from Wisconsin, has just gotten cleared after his concussion. If you remember, last year he had an ACL injury in first week of camp, and this year, first practice, has a concussion, has never played a down with the Green Bay Packers. This is his debut. It's unfortunate, but he's going to have to lay it all on the line this coming week, not tonight. Tomorrow night to prove that he can earn the final wide receiver spot on this team.
Time's up. Yeah, they have 1 week before the final 53-man roster is due, so Sunday to Sunday is basically how it runs.
Right.
And
and I mean, if he doesn't,
that's a lot of players to drop, though. They're at 75 right now. They have to go down to 53. I feel that even. I feel bad we're not giving Larry Pinkert or Ed Williams any airtime. They're the other guys that are fighting for that last spot.
And Pinkert's not awful.
They're not. No, Pinkert's not awful, but I feel like they'll probably get practice squatted. If that's a word. I made it a word.
Well, I was thinking that might happen to
It's going to happen to either Jared or Miles. And I think that at this point, Green Bay might just have to reward Miles White for how he's done.
Well, that's just because you like
it. No. I'm just saying it from a total non-biased standpoint,
right,
saying, look,
right.
Miles, you've put in a good performance so far in preseason. You've done well in camp. Jared
played great against the Eagles.
Yeah, he played great again. He was the leading receiver against the Eagles. And be like, look, Jared, you've only been playing for a week. We want to retain you. And he can be sent to the practice squad, and it's still possible to move up and down.
Right.
If you're practice squadded, you can still be signed to the actual roster. Maybe they try Miles White out for a few games. Maybe it doesn't work out, and they say, all right, we're going to drop you to the practice squad, and then, Jared, we're going to bring you up. It's very possible. Well, I mean, there's also possibilities. I doubt it, but even guys like Ty Montgomery might not transition well. But we've seen him play pretty well through the first 3 games of preseason.
But it's looking that Abbrederis is going to get a lot of snaps, maybe even start the game because they're not starting a lot of their players. What it seems like from what I've been researching.
Devontae will sit, I'm sure. Richard Rodgers will probably sit. They're gonna. I mean, it's gonna be kind of a throw together team against the Saints.
Ty Montgomery has been having a little bit of think if it's a hamstring issue, nothing major.
We could have Jeff Janis and Jared Abbrederis starting out wide for the Packers.
Yeah,
that'd be a fun thing to watch.
That would be fun. But yeah, Ty Montgomery, he's probably will not play. So that opens up the door for Abbrederis to really make a name for himself, and I hope the Packers let him play a lot of snaps.
It's gonna
because he needs it. He needs to prove what he can do.
Yeah, Eddie Lacy and James Starks, 90% of them will probably not play at all. Rajon Neal, Alonzo Harris, John Crockett, those 3 guys are gonna sift through. We'll probably see Brett Hundley and maybe Scott Tolzien as well. Mostly Brett Hundley in this game, I'm sure. Rodgers is done for the preseason. So it'll be Miles White, Jared Abbrederis, Jeff Janis, Larry Pinkert, Ed Williams. Those 3 guys, those 5 guys, are probably just going to leave it all on the field in that hope for that last spot. And like you said, I mean, the Packers are a good organization, and they're thinking futuristically as well. So they might say, hey, Larry, or hey, whoever, we can give you a practice squad spot, that's just what they did to Miles White, and they kept him. And if he does end up getting signed this year, that would be great. If not, maybe they'll practice squad him again. It all kind of depends on, for a player, what you feel like you want to do with your career.
Right. Well, and then you have to look at that Jeff Janis is not for sure.
Nothing is official with Jeff Janis.
You never know with how it's going in the locker room, but how he's been playing this preseason, it's really looking like
Janis. He
Janis
scored 4 touchdowns in the 7 total games that he's played from last year and this year.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
No, he's doing absolutely fantastic. So I don't think there's much of a problem with holding on to him. I think he's pretty much a lock, as well as Ty Montgomery, just for the most part because they drafted him. And he's not a bad wide receiver whatsoever. So
although his name is escaping me, I found it interesting that the Browns, when all the roster cuts, released their first-round draft pick this last week.
Interesting.
as part of their first round of cuts. I can't think of his name right now, but I saw a headline that the Browns released their first round draft pick of this last year's draft.
Of this last year's
Like
draft?
the one that just happened.
Oh, because I know that, and you know that your organization does not do well in the draft. What just happened when after all these cuts, they also released their final player that was in the 2011 draft. So they no longer have any players on their roster from that they have drafted from 2011, and that just kind of goes.
That's just horrible.
Yeah,
I may have read that wrong. Continue though. I'm trying to.
Yeah, no, that's
there's even
fine.
just headlines from the Browns in terms of just saying looking back on the Browns' first round picks over the last few years, just because they haven't. Yeah, released. Oh, he was a former first round pick, Phil Taylor.
Yeah, so not this last year.
No, not this last year, but even still, though, like anytime a first round draft pick gets cut, it makes you kind of question, what the heck is going on.
Right.
So, anyway, sorry, I just thought that was interesting, though.
No.
And that goes along with the Browns as an organization also saying that no one's safe. So,
Right.
we'll see. Johnny Manziel might be the next man cut in town as well. Doubt it, but
Well, and I posted on Facebook the other day with teams that RG3 might go to. There was listing kind of like the article that we read to you guys earlier kind of slimmed that down.
Yes.
It was by ESPN, and they were giving the Browns as one of the teams.
Yep.
And I was not shocked anymore when I heard this, but the Eagles were interested in him.
And Manziel?
With RG3.
Oh, and RG. I'm sorry. Well, RG3 would be. He would add that whole read option mobile quarterback to Chip Kelly's Oregon-style offense.
Yeah, but
Bradford's not fast enough to run that offense.
But then how many quarterbacks do they already have? Do they
They've
really
got
need
4
RG3?
right now.
Do they really need RG3?
No, they don't. They're going to probably. There's still rumors that the Eagles might even cut, or the rumors might trade Matt Barkley. There's rumors.
All right.
I don't know if they're going to or not, but there's rumors that they might do that. Then there's Tim Tebow. What do you do with Tim Tebow?
Right.
He'll probably get cut.
Probably.
Unless Chip Kelly's got something, and then Tebow will more than likely not be on a roster because no one's going to waste a 53-man spot on Tebow. Then you've got Bradford and Sanchez, who are not a bad 1-2 punch.
Yeah, so I really don't know if you necessarily need a RG3 at this point.
No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody needs RG3 at this point.
Maybe the Browns, though.
I was going to say,
you never know.
If Oakland or Jacksonville didn't have Derek Carr or Blake Bortles, I'd say get him in there. But I like Blake Bortles and Derek Carr way more than I like RG3.
True.
If I had a game on the line and I had to choose between Bortles or Carr, I'd be like, yeah, give me both of them over RG3. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just who I am. I mean, that's what I am as a person. So those are my beliefs. Anyway, it's interesting, though, Grant, like you said, to see what's going to happen with the Packers in terms of what receivers are going to make it. And Jared Aberdarius, I hope he will make the most of the opportunity that he does have.
And they already cut 4 wide receivers.
3 or 4 wide. I think they cut 3 wide receivers, and we're going to be getting to some of the other people that they cut a little bit later on in the show.
And they officially dropped Jordy Nelson to injured reserve.
Sad day. He's not coming back anymore.
Sad. Oh, well. Next season, he'll be back.
Next season. I feel like that's like the motto for every NFC North team. Anyway, except for the Packers.
Pretty much.
Shameless jab at the NFC North team.
Next era, pretty much.
Yeah, next era.
Whenever the
Next
Packers
era.
sadly drop off, because, it's going to happen one of these days.
Will it, though?
Because the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, or early 90s were still a thing. I mean,
but the Packers
that was
have been
20 years.
So good,
that was 20 years of sadness.
Well, look who the quarterbacks were, though.
Yeah, but still.
But we've gone from Favre to Rodgers.
Yeah, well, do you think you could have another third legendary quarterback in a row?
Maybe Brett Hundley's the man. Maybe Scotty T.
Do you really think?
Anything's possible.
All right, I guess.
I'm on board. Whoop, whoop. We'll ride that train. We're better than the Bears, that's for sure.
True.
All right, we're going to a break. When we come back, we're going to be chatting a little bit more about the brotherly love in the sports world. You're not going to want to miss it. This is the Bax and Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back to the show. Grant, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. We're having a great show so far.
Absolutely.
Going well.
Now, Grant, when I say Peyton and Eli, you obviously know that they're the Manning brothers,
yes,
correct?
When
I
course.
say, I had like 5 more examples. When I say, wow, this is horrible, I had like 5 of them in the shower this morning. I was like, oh, I can use all these, and then now they're gone. So you know who Peyton and Eli Manning are, right?
Yeah.
You know who Rondé and Tiki Barber are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do they all have in common?
Brothers.
Aside from that.
The pro sports brothers.
Pro sports brothers.
Yes, they play professional
They did,
sports.
yes. They did and or still do if you're the Manning brothers. The Barber brothers have been out of it for a while. They're now barbershop.
And that Abdul... you have Kareem.
Kareem had a brother too?
Yeah, I thought so.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask about that.
There's a lot of them though.
There's
more than you'd think.
The point is that there are many, many brothers and siblings that play professional sports, some men and women. Caleb Sturgis and Nathan Sturgis, I believe. Nathan plays Major League Soccer, and Caleb Sturgis is the Dolphins kicker.
Oh, okay.
So some families just breed professional athletes. It's just
it's
how
ridiculous.
It goes. So
could I get a little some of that? Could I play?
Man, you got a son. Start working him. Start breeding him now. You got to get him in the gym now.
Start working.
He's only what? He's only like what? 7 months?
9 months.
9 months. Get him. That's plenty.
He was actually lifting a weight the other day.
There you go. See,
it was a 5-pound weight. He was struggling with it.
He's like, Dad, I'm ready. I want to make you proud.
Get swole.
I want you to retire by the time I'm 15. That was what my family would always joke with me when I was playing football or soccer, like growing up. They're like, all right, you just need to, go pro so we can retire early. I'm like, so you can retire? You mean I'm going to share my money with you when I make millions? I'm going to retire you guys? They're like, yeah, that's how it works.
The funny thing is making millions as a kicker. There's the joke there for you, folks.
Oh, I was a wide receiver and a quarterback before I was a kicker.
Well, your big thing is a kicker, so you can't change
kickers
that.
for days. Kickers for days. Anyway, the reason that I brought up all of the brotherly love, as it were, is that there was a cool article that Bleacher Report brought out over the last few days about the Thompson brothers, and that would be Clay and Michael and Trace.
Yes.
I've never seen Michael spelled with a Y. So
yes, neither did I. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, though. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Michelle? No, I'm assuming it's Michael.
Well, because I think they wanted all their sons to have a Y in it. Because you have
cheeky.
Clay, Michael, and Trace, they all have Ys.
That's reaching if you're a parent, but good for them, I guess. We're going to spell Michael with a Y. Like I joke when I tell people, like, my name is Baxter, but the Q is silent. They're looking at my name like, where's the Q go? I'm like, there's no Q. I've done that a few times. Like if I'm at like a legal place
hilarious.
or if I'm like giving my name at a restaurant, and I'll be like, yeah, like part of your whatever, and I'm like, yeah, Baxter. They're like, oh, how do you spell it? And I tell them that. And I'm like, oh, and the Q is silent. And then they look back and they look at me, and I'm like, I'm kidding. And they're just like, I'm like, what? It's funny.
Got it.
My wife is like, would you stop? She laughs a little bit too.
I know, that's hilarious. That's
old news now. Anyway,
now Baxter.
Yes,
I know Clay, but what about these other two guys? Who's Michael and Trace?
Yeah, so Trace is a fantastic outfielder for the Chicago White Sox. He has been recently coming up through the ranks and has really started to take on the role of becoming a Major League Baseball player, and he's...
Didn't he just get called up this season?
He did, yep. He just was called up this last year, and he has already done very well. He's only 24. When the White Sox called him up, he played AAA affiliate Charlotte up until August 4th. And since he's been in the major leagues for when this article was published, he has gone... I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. No, there we go. He through this last weekend when this article came out, he was hitting .519, .552, and .963 over those 3 games with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs.
Now I'm interested. Do you know what those numbers mean, Baxter?
His batting average isn't that the first?
The first one is the batting average.
First one is his batting average. The second 2 slugging, and the third one something else on base percentage.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Well done.
The more you know.
Well done.
I'm shocked.
I thought you were going to struggle. That's why I
thought
kind of
so
threw
too.
you under the bus
Thank
there.
you. I appreciate you just
I was
chucking
like,
me under.
Yeah, I was like,
get under
"Here,
there.
have fun."
No, I thought I did well.
No, you dove out of the way. You did well.
Thank you.
Proud
I
of you.
did my best. So he's the youngest of the three brothers, and he just recently started his career. Now, we know his brother Clay as being a part of the Splash Bros. That's who I was going to use for a reference was Mario and Luigi.
Oh, there
It was like, you know who Mario and Luigi is, Grant? And I thought that was really clever, and then that's the one I forget. I'm always that guy. I always forget the best part. Anyway, so Clay, obviously, as we know, plays for the Golden State Warriors. He and Steph Curry are what they call the Splash Bros, and they just brought the city of Oakland, surprisingly, or Golden State, California, as a whole, a championship for the first time since 1975. Now, the oldest brother, I feel like this is how it goes, even with the Manning brothers as well. The oldest brother always gets shafted. You never hear anything about the oldest Manning brother. I think he had an injury or something that didn't allow him to play, but you never want to be that guy.
Right.
You know, their oldest brother, Michael, with the Y, because Mr. and Mrs. Thompson decided to mess with the world.
And you know, his dad's name is Michael with an A, and the oldest brother is Michael with an E. And the dad's name is Michael with a Y.
That's just, I can't. I can't even more. I can't even more. Anyway, Michael, who's 27, plays pro basketball in Italy. After he recently helped the Santa Cruz Warriors win the NBA Development League title.
And that's the D4.
The D-League, yep.
Or D-League for that's the team for the Warriors. I'm assuming this is for the Golden State Warriors.
I believe so, yes.
Because, like, looking at the pictures and whatnot, the uniforms are kind of the same. So I think it's kind of like almost like a minor league.
Oh, minor league affiliate. Yeah, the D-League is kind of that minor league affiliate. He did spend some time, though, back with the Cavaliers in the 2011-2012 season also.
I believe that was a season that they were really bad. Or no, was that LeBron?
LeBron was gone, I think. LeBron was in
okay,
Miami
so I think that's when they were super bad.
Probs. That's usually
anyway, but yeah, but they did just win a championship, so it's not like he's really all that bad, but he's not playing in the pros right now. But at least he still has a foothold where he has a possibility to
and I think that's really
sports.
helpful, and maybe Clay can use his insides there with the Warriors as well. Now, all these boys stem from their father, Michael as well, who shares the MYCHAL. He's a two-time NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers. He also spent some time with the Portland Trail Blazers and San Antonio Spurs as well. So this gentleman continues, this family, the Thompson family, has three talented boys, three exceptionally brilliant boys, and he said that it's been a long time coming that all three boys love playing together. They've all enjoyed the sport of basketball, and then you saw Trace break off and to be very successful in the baseball world, and then obviously Clay and Michael staying with the basketball world.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me reading the story with, so all the three sons are into pro or...
Yep.
Yeah, I think you'd call it D-League pro or amateur.
They're being paid.
Semi-pro.
They're being paid to play sports.
Okay, so pro, three boys in pro sports,
yes.
And then the dad was big in pro sports.
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of the Matthews family, where you have Clay Matthews,
yes.
And then his brother
Casey,
just is a little younger in his career, but he's starting up. Then you have his dad was a linebacker.
Yes.
I think his grandfather was a linebacker. I think his uncle
good Lord.
Played professionally in the NFL.
Some families are like that.
Yeah. So and then like we talked about before, the Manning brothers, and I think it was Bielema. Was it? Because didn't Gaja Bielema have a brother?
Yes, it was.
That's who
it
I
was
was.
Kabir and oh gosh, his brother played for the Raiders.
Yeah, so not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
No,
it was just
Kabir,
too many.
It was Kabir Baja Bielema and his name is escaping me.
Yeah,
but I know exactly who you're talking about.
So kind of like those. So yeah, but the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar thing, that was me, my brain just getting confused with long names that I don't understand. So, but yeah, you kind of have those families, and you wonder if it's just genetic talent or if it's more work ethic that the dad is like, hey, if you want to be good in these sports and if you want to do sports, this is the work ethic that we are holding you to. Akbar?
Yes,
All right.
like Admiral Akbar from Star Wars.
It's
That's
a trap.
Exactly. So is Kumir.
The fact that we did that at the same time.
We weren't even looking at each other, too. That's the best part. Wow. We need help.
We're on point today.
Kumir and Akbar. I wonder if anybody, did he claim naming rights when Star Wars came out? He's like, my name is Akbar. I wonder if he got named after Admiral Akbar.
Maybe. You never know.
What kind of a story is that as a kid growing up? I was named after Admiral Akbar of Star Wars.
Like a giant fish dude.
La, 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 la. That would be fun.
Anyway.
Lord help us.
So, Bax, do you think it's more, I think it's a little bit, but do you think it's genetically that these these families can stay, or is it more
somewhat,
work
yes.
ethic?
It's both, obviously. I think anytime you have a parent like the Thompson brothers, the Manning brothers, et cetera, that have had a mom or a dad or both play professional sports, as a kid growing up, you're like, wow, we have this great lifestyle, we have all this money, my mom and dad did that, well, I want that for myself. So there's a mixture of work ethic for sure, because obviously you need to put in the work if you're going to get anywhere. But I think there is that level of genetics as well where we have seen it. I mean, my kids might be more athletic than your kids just because of my body type, because of my upbringing, etc. That doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily be better athletes or that you and I are different, but it's just how our bodies are made.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
From a scientific version of it, that's just kind of how it all works out.
Connor Christensen was talking about it earlier just within our friend group. He made a little video about it, talking about how when people try to get fit, they try to get to superstar athlete level, and best of your body types kind of thing. So that's kind of like the same idea that yes, these players can be to that level because genetically they can be superstar athlete level, but then at the same time they have the work ethic that has been laid out for them early in their life.
Absolutely. And I think that having a parent that has played sports obviously does help that. And but you hear so many athletes nowadays that are dads right now or moms right now, especially the football dads that are towards the end of their career, like Drew Brees, Brett Favre is retired, Peyton Manning, and some of those guys, and they get asked, well, you're going to let your son or you let your kids play football, and they're like, I don't know, honestly. I don't know if I want them to play football because of the injuries and this, that, and the other that go along with it. So some parents are like pushing them to try other sports instead of the one that they played.
Well, I mean, and especially with football, then you have that new concussion movie that's coming out that looks really good.
I'm excited to see that.
Apparently, they edited some of the scenes because they didn't want to hurt the NFL's feelings.
Oh, they didn't want to concuss the NFL with
Well,
the truth.
I mean, it you never know, like, if the NFL, is super shady in the back with...
Well, they are.
Well, yeah, it's going to be really
more
interesting.
shady than the U.S. government. Anyway, we're going to a break before I get the SEC throwing me off the air. Or the SEC? No. What's, wow, I'm just having brain farts all day today. Yeah. I don't even know.
Brothers, Baxter. What were the brothers?
We're going to a break. We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Okay, Grant, it was the FCC That's what I was
FCC.
looking for, not the SEC or the CBAs or the ABA or the WNBA. Or
So what does that stand for then?
The
Baxter?
FCC is the tab that I just clicked out of, but it was the Federal Communication Commission. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
They regulate the media world in terms of what's said on television and on the air. I mean, if for any of you that are Family Guy fans, you'll remember there was a whole big FCC episode where they basically stuck it to the FCC the whole episode and sang songs and had made jokes, and they're like, we could say this, but the FCC won't let us. So they it was funny.
I see.
It was a very Family Guy,
Nice.
Seth MacFarlane thing to do. Anyway, Grant. But I digress.
Yes.
As I do most days, as anybody that listens to the show. It's amazing we keep our listeners because of how random we are at times. But thank you. Thank
Very
you
true,
to all of you
very
that continue
true.
to listen to us.
We appreciate you
We
very
do.
much.
We appreciate you. And if you ever have any thoughts or comments about anything we talk about on the show, please contact us at Baxter Colburn on Twitter. He's at Grant's Rant BGSS as well. We love hearing from you, the listeners, and we love continuing to grow our listener base as well. All right, Grant, moving forward, the Green Bay Packers, as we mentioned earlier in the show, have made some cuts. Their roster is now down to 75 players. It goes down to 53 players this coming Sunday. And there's only one player that's been cut that I'm sad about.
Right.
But at the same time, he really had a huge uphill battle to try to beat out, and that is Matt Blanchard.
Really, the only way for him to make it onto the roster was really if one of the quarterbacks just wasn't cutting it. Like if Tolzien came out, it was absolute trash. Or if Hundley
Which he
came
wasn't.
out and was absolute trash.
And I've been on the Scotty Tolzien train for
Yeah.
about 2 years, and you have been like, Matty Flynn. No.
Not that I didn't like Tolzien. I was
You
just
were
I
like,
just,
Flynn.
Yeah, but I'm not
No,
hating
man.
on Tolzien.
Nah, brah.
I'm not hating on Tolzien. I just appreciated Matt Flynn.
Oh, good choice of words.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anyway, Matt Blanchard, though, the former Division III UW Whitewater, for those Wisconsin listeners, know that UW Whitewater is a national powerhouse in the Division III college football world. They won national championships in 2010 and 2011 under Blanchard. And Grant, fun fact, while Matt Blanchard was the starting quarterback at UW Whitewater, take a guess at what his starting record was.
Well, you told me. So
I did, yes, so that's not fair.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the listening audience what it is?
It was 35-0, I believe.
45.
45 and
45 and
45
0 on the Division III level.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Take that for what it is, but still, if you can go
Yeah.
45 and 0 in any sport, I don't care if you're playing Pee Wee Rec football or you're playing in the NFL, going 45 and 0 is
You're going
very
places.
impressive.
You are
Absolutely.
going places.
Matt Blanchard, though, a fantastic talent. We only saw him for a short amount of time in the Packers' third preseason game against the Eagles. He did well. He passed for a touchdown. He hit Jeff Janis on his touchdown. So
Yeah, and that was an audible
that
that he called. And
because he's a smart quarterback.
yeah, and I think he can really play in this league. And it was really upsetting. The article that I'm looking at by JS Online.
Yep, Journal Sentinel.
Yeah. JSOnline.com. They are saying that it was pretty much just bad timing that he showed up at that time. It was just really unfortunate.
Timing. They
Yeah,
couldn't. They didn't have to go out and draft Brett Hundley. They could have used that draft pick on something else.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to. I was a little surprised when I saw a quarterback, but I was like, whatever. But it was a little bit bad timing because clearly already have Aaron Rodgers as a starter.
Clearly.
You have Tolzien that they've picked up and that they've been working on for a while.
Yes.
He was doing great, so they're not going to get rid of him.
No.
And then they drafted Brett Hundley, so they're not going to get rid of one of their draft picks, especially when he was doing decently against the Eagles, and he has been doing pretty decent. He didn't have the best couple of starts the first two preseason games, but he's turning it around and he's improving. So as long as he had improvement, they really weren't going to get rid of him. So it's kind of unfortunate. He really just needed either Tolzien or Hundley just to perform really badly if he wanted a chance to make the roster.
And there wasn't that indication. Like you said,
No.
both Hundley and Tolzien stepped in and played really well. Although the quarterbacks coach for the Packers, Alex Van Pelt, did offer this. He said, Matt looked like a Green Bay quarterback with his feet. His feet were outstanding, very smart, learned our system quickly. He's athletic, threw the ball well. He's great in the room, meaning that room when the quarterbacks sit down and dissect the film. etc. And he even went on, like you were just made the comment, Van Pelt even made the comment, he said, I think he can play in the league. I really do. I think he'll have a chance. Now, Blanchard has already spent time with the Bears and the Panthers, and the Packers were his most recent stop. I hope for the Packers' sake that they keep him, and I hope they re-sign him for the practice squad, because I think he'd be a good quarterback for the defense to have to go against that scout offense.
Yeah.
If you've got Matt Blanchard calling plays for the scout offense, I think that would go fairly well. It would be a good test against the Packers defense.
Right, because he's a decent quarterback that can make some pretty accurate throws, and he's smart. Exactly.
That's why Scott Tolziena's excelled too, is because he's a very smart guy. He's a very much of a student of the game.
Right. So if you put, let's say, if you say Blanchard on the practice squad, and you can test some of the younger defensive guys, it can really train them to be on the ball and kind of hone in their skills, because some of the most important stuff in football happens before the play, when you get out there and you see the formations.
It takes a lot.
Yeah, and you have to know the book. You have to know the other teams, know who their players are. You have to know a lot of stuff. And having a smart guy to go against and practice against, that'd be really good for the Green Bay Packers as a whole.
Absolutely. I think that one of the two positions in sports that I respect almost more than any are a quarterback and then a catcher in baseball. Because the catcher in baseball has to look at the entire field. They are kind of that quarterback of the defense, when you're playing defense, because you have to say, okay, there's a guy on first, there's a guy on third, he's leading off a little bit more. Do I make the right call? Have the pitcher throw the ball here? Oh, if he hits it there, where's my first throw? Like, there's so much that has to happen.
Right.
For the catcher, I feel more so than other positions on the baseball diamond.
And the catcher and the pitcher have to realize every batter on that roster and every player
that know every single
they have to know, like, their hot zones, what pitches they like, stuff like that, and for every team that they play. So half of the 16 teams in your conference, and then for intramural league, the other 16, depending who you play. So 16's a little off, but you know what I mean. Like, half the league, you have to pretty much know every single player that you think will play, and you have to know who they are, so you don't give them a nice, big old juicy fastball that they can just absolutely crush out of the park.
Which would be, nice if you're the other version.
Right.
If you're the batter, you're like, oh, yummy, fastball, boom. But that's not how it ends up working.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, looking at just the players as a whole that the team cut, they cut Blanchard, like we said. They cut James Butler, a wide receiver, Adrian Hubbard,
and that was out of all the players that were recently cut, I was a little disappointed in seeing Adrian Hubbard go, because he had a fairly decent preseason. So I was a little upset to see him go, but I was really expecting it. But what can you do?
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And some of these wide receivers were signed by the Packers more recently too. James Butler, Jarvis Blue, and Jimmy Hunt as well. All three of those guys have just recently been added to the roster.
Yeah, I believe Butler was added on Thursday, and then they just booted him.
And he didn't get a lot of playing time.
They're like, here, let's see how this works. Okay, it didn't work. All right, see ya.
Bye. Yeah, then you have other guys, Harold Spears and Jordy Nelson. Obviously, he was put on the injured reserve, so he didn't get released. Tavares Dansley, Fabian Ebel, and Josh Francis, Lavon Hooks, and Vince Kowalski.
And you also have Kyle Sabetic, who's a cornerback. I believe you missed him.
I did, yes. I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that one.
Yes.
My eyes aren't what they used to be, Grant. Forgive me.
Yeah, because you're 22.
20, almost 4, but thanks
24.
For caring about my life.
Whatever. I was close.
Sure, Grant.
You were 22 last year, were you?
Last time we did the show together, I was 23, last semester.
22, 23.
Peanuts.
You're all old people to me.
You're the man that's married for a year and has a child, and so
you're the graduated one. You're the graduated one that's older.
On paper, I'm older, but in life's race, you're kind of winning.
Just all my friends just are like your age and just got up and graduated. So I'm just like, you're the older than me.
What do you want me to do? Get to the graduation and be like, nah, I gotta wait for Grant.
Grant.
Gotta wait for Grant. I'm gonna just mull around campus for the next few years until Grant graduates.
Well, I mean, you still might do that anyway.
I pretty much do. Gotta keep the people.
You're here every day.
Gotta say hi to our friends, Sam Wallace, Danny Hoppenstein, Megan Landvatter. They're all around. Megan Landvatter will be here on Friday, Grant.
Ooh, yeah.
She's gonna be challenging you in Name 5, but more
I
importantly...
saw that.
More importantly, though, she will be previewing the Wisconsin-Alabama game.
That'll be great.
Which will be taking place on Saturday. So we're going to one more break. When we come back, we've got some final thoughts and an interesting article from the Sports Quotient that we will love to share with you. You're not going to want to miss it. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Grant, I've had it. I've absolutely had it.
What's wrong?
Aside from most things...
Do you need a hug?
Sure.
A Ronda Rousey hug.
Oh, God, no. No, I'm good. I'm good! Ah! No, I'm good. Anyway, I've had it because I'm tired of people overhyping Odell Beckham Jr. No, I'm tired of Johnny Manziel. I'm tired of John Harbaugh's pants. I don't know. That's Jim Harbaugh. I don't know.
You know what? To fix all this, Kanye 2020.
For real, though. Did you hear? Thank you for saying that. Did you hear that somebody filed for Marshawn Lynch to run for president? Somebody filed for... Yes. Somebody did all the paperwork. Marshawn himself is not doing it. But there was an article that came out yesterday on SB Nation is where I saw it. And they're like, Marshawn Lynch files to run for president for... even though Marshawn didn't do it, somebody filed on behalf of him. And they said that he didn't even the application wasn't even fully filled out. They it was pretty crappily thrown together. They're and they're the article's running with it. They're someone needs to bring Skittles to the White House and it's going to be Marshawn Lynch. There's his foreign policy was doing something along the I don't remember what it was, but it was funny.
Yeah,
if Marshawn can run for president in 2016, I guess Kanye can run for 2020.
Yeah, I can just see Marshawn just at a Geneva conference, just sitting there, and they ask him for his opinion. He's like, "I'm just here so I won't get fined."
Yeah, right. I'm just here so I won't get fined. Eating his Skittles and just be like, "Nom nom, now vote for me."
Or
Marshawn, 2016.
Or message to the nation.
Yeah,
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Be you called the press conference. Whatever. Go Seahawks. Anyway, gosh, the things we say. So, Grant, I think it's interesting. Like I said, I brought up Odell Beckham Jr., and we make such a big deal on this show and just in our personal lives of how much press he received because of that one catch.
Yep.
That one fantastic play. You can't take away from the fact that
it was
great. Play,
it was great.
But also the fact of how much it was probably helped because of having gloves on.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen some pretty ridiculous catches over the last few years because of players having gloves. That ability to have that little bit extra grip that allows them to, wheel in that ball and then do whatever they need to do after that. The NFL apparently, though, is looking at possibly regulating gloves,
Right,
and the type of things that go into it.
and that makes sense because, back in 1981, players were using before then, but they banned a substance called stickum that players used, and not just wide receivers. A lot of people used it, and then they got rid of it because it was. And I understand why. It's kind of like baseball. Why
Foreign substance.
Yeah, like sunscreen spray or other stuff that.
So weird.
I know. I just heard about that being a thing this year, but that's why those things have been banned, because it kind of gives you an unfair advantage, and so they just went out and banned it. And then it makes sense. They're not saying that they're going to ban gloves. The NFL is not saying that. What they're saying is they're going to look into it, and
they're re-examining it.
And the reasoning is because the last time it was re-examined, the technology with gloves has been far changed. It has drastically improved, and it has. You see. There's a new. It talks in this article done by the Sports Quotient about a new sticky glove. I forget the exact name of what. It has a weird name, but it sticks better than any glove to a ball. It's pretty much made to do that. And so it makes sense that the NFL is going to go in and check this out, because how is it really going to be hard just to eventually what you could just do is stick out your hand and the ball magnetizes to your glove. I mean, that's pretty much what they're going to be looking for. Is this making an unfair advantage? And I mean, I'm okay with players wearing gloves.
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, and what the article is saying is that gloves help you make those one-handed catches a little easier than if it was just your hand.
Top 10 plays every day, I feel like. And
right.
I find it interesting, too, that former NFL wide receiver and analyst that we love so much, Chris Collinsworth, he does his work for NBC, he made a statement about this when he heard that these things were going on. He said, "I think that if they took the gloves completely away from the guys, including the quarterbacks, at this point, it would have a major impact on what the game looked like on the field, and not for the better. Every Sunday we say, oh my goodness, look at that. That's a good thing. It's an entertainment business, and that's why it's an entertaining, and why not make it as entertaining as possible?"
Right. And then the article also says earlier, so you have what if that Odell Beckham Jr. catch never happened? It was he dropped it. If he would have caught it, that would have been a great catch. Or there's a lot of if there's a drop, you forget about it in a couple seconds. But if they make a fantastic catch, you remember it for a long time, bring more popularity to the sport. And look at the cover of Madden 16, for example.
Yeah.
And they bring this up in the article as well. It's the picture of him catching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Not a picture of him just, standing there
or
running with the ball.
Catch.
Yeah, it's that catch. So you big catches and stuff like that are a big part of the sport and bring a lot of hype to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if the NFL goes and looks at the gloves and say, hey, this isn't cool, you are going to take away some stuff. But depending on what it is, I don't think I would disagree necessarily. We don't know what they're going to look into. We don't know what they're possibly going to ban, if they do. But they haven't said they're looking to ban anything.
No,
they're just going to reevaluating,
because they haven't done it in such a long time.
Right.
And the chairman of the competition committee even mentioned the fact, Rick McKay, he said that pretty soon these gloves are going to be able to catch a ball without a hand in them, which is fairly true that the technology and the way it's going. I mean, just think about it from a perspective of, I know these are totally different skill levels, but Sunday fun league with the guys, at a local park, nobody's got gloves on usually, unless you're that guy. Everyone's, just playing around, having a good time, and say it's slightly raining, so the ball's going to be wet, the field's wet, your hands are going to be a little wet. There's going to be a ton more drop balls, the passes aren't going to be very accurate. It's going to be kind of a sloppy, rough and tough game.
Right, wouldn't be fun to watch.
No, it wouldn't be fun to watch. No one would probably pay lots of money to watch that. On the flip side, same conditions, but on an NFL game, Packers, Patriots, whatever game, People were making great throws, great catches. Now, Aaron Rodgers doesn't use gloves, but he has a towel, obviously, that he'll use to wipe his hands out. But still, the receivers have gloves that they're able to make those catches. There's even a video that came out from training camp of Larry Fitzgerald running a slant across the middle and against the defense. Ball was overthrown, sticks one hand out, catches the ball with just one hand and pulls it in and keeps running. And he couldn't have...
Nonchalant.
He's got huge hands, so maybe he could have done that with his regular hands. But still, the fact that he had a glove to just catch a full-strength pass from Carson Palmer, be like, okay, got it, boom, run up the field.
It helps. Kind of like for all you soccer people out there,
yes.
If you've ever played goaltender,
yeah.
Play goaltender without gloves and then play it with gloves. It's much easier on your hands. It's easier to stop the ball just because that helps with the force. And I think along with just being a little better material to hold on to the ball, it also kind of stops a little bit of the force.
No, I completely agree.
That also helps make it easier to catch. So it adds a lot of things. But if the NFL does decide like these higher end gloves that make catching a little bit easier, if they cut that down, I wouldn't be totally opposed to that.
No,
because you need to have like some skill. Like
it's a business, in terms of entertainment. But like you said, you need to have skill at the end of the day. And if these players are in the NFL, like. It's not to say that, if they didn't have gloves on, they wouldn't be able to be in the NFL, but the gloves make them look better than they might be at times, depending on what it is. The difference between catching a ball thrown directly at you and catching a ball 5 feet over your head that you will leap up and one-handedly grab. Well, how many people without gloves make that catch every time? Probably not many.
Right.
All right, Grant. Well, we have to sign off for today. This has been another exciting edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Tomorrow, we look forward to welcoming David Kenyon back on the program as he gives us a preview of the Packers-Saints game and just gives us another look around the NFL world as well. So much more excitement to come as well on tomorrow and Friday's show. We appreciate it. Special thanks to everyone that tuned in today on Spreaker.com, on Sports Radio America, and on Periscope as well. Remember, you can catch us Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Spreaker.com and on Sports Radio America from 11 to 1 Central on Live 365. And tune in and on demand anytime on on iHeartRadio and on iTunes as well.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You can also find us on Twitter using the handle at BG Sports Show. Baxter is at Baxter Colburn. I am at Grant's Rand BGSS. And you can also find us on Instagram at BG Sports Show.
Absolutely. Thank you to all of you that tuned in. We will see all of you tomorrow. He's Grant Coppersmith. I'm Baxter Colburn. Enjoy your Wednesday hump day, everybody. And we will see you all tomorrow for another exciting edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show.